Corbett has been the drummer for the Sheepdogs for 21 years, the steady heartbeat behind one of Canada's biggest rock bands. Now he's stepping away from the group to focus on new adventures. Sam joins us now in studio to talk about the memories, the music, and what comes next. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. When you first joined the Sheepdogs, did you ever imagine that it would turn into more than 2 decades of playing together?
Not really. The way we started is I'd never played drums before, and I kind of had a hankering to try it out. And so my parents gave me some money to rent a drum kit, and I did at Long McQuaid, brought it home, set it up in their kitchen, and Ewan and Ryan came over that day, and we started the band like that. And they were also like pretty novice at their instruments, so I don't know. We hoped that we would become big and famous and get to play around the world, but we didn't really think it was going to happen.
Yeah. When you think back on, those 20 odd years, what are some of the key moments that really stick out to you?
Well, obviously, winning the Rolling Stone cover contest was a real game changer for us. Before that, we'd been a band for 7 years, but we had been pretty unsuccessful. If we were touring outside, playing a show outside Saskatoon, we were happy if there was 30 people there. That was a pretty good show for us. So things really changed overnight for us with that opportunity.
Can you tell us more about that? Because there might be some people listening who don't know that lore.
Sure. Well, we were entered into a contest and it was trying to find an unsigned band to be on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. So we were actually entered unbeknownst to us by a guy who later became our manager. And he just told us, I put you guys in something. It's really big, but I can't tell you what it is. Okay, all right. So we found out what it was. Oh, this is big. And, we were one of 16 bands. We were the only Canadian band. And we were just hoping to make it to the round of 8 because we got a free trip to New York. We made it to the round of 8, made it to the round of 4. And then finally, we ended up winning the contest. We got to play at Bonnaroo. We got to record an album on Atlantic Records. And we got to play on Jimmy Fallon. So it completely changed our lives overnight.
What did that level of, or that height, how did your life change?
Well, I was able to quit my job selling shoes for one. Like I said, we had played, for the biggest audience we'd played for was, maybe a couple hundred people, and we play on Jimmy Fallon. There's like 1 million people watching apparently. And, the next year we were nominated for Junos, and we were touring Australia with John Fogerty. Definitely didn't do that before the Rolling Stone contest. And, it was a great opportunity, but I think at the same time we made the most of it, because we'd been working hard as a band for 7 years. We knew how to work hard, and as soon as the contest was over, we didn't rest on our laurels. We went and recorded an album right away and put it out as soon as we possibly could. And then we toured for the next 3 years nonstop before taking a break. So, the way I always describe it to people is, you have to be very lucky, but you have to work hard, and then if you have some talent, that probably helps, but maybe it's not even necessary. I don't know.
You guys definitely have talent. But what was the moment that you, with all of this said, what was the moment that you knew it was time to take a step back from the Sheepdogs?
Well, so about 7 years ago, I had testicular cancer. And at the time I got my diagnosis, my wife was about 4 or 5 months pregnant with our first child. And so it was obviously a very heavy time, a lot to think about. And, that was a real turning point for me in my life. And it wasn't until a couple years later, obviously the pandemic hit and I wasn't really touring that much. I was able to stay at home with my kids, and we have a second daughter now. They're actually listening right now. So hi, Lucy. Hi, Sally. So it wasn't, the pandemic, I had basically a couple of years off where I wasn't really on the road. And then once we started touring again in 2022, I started realizing, I really want to spend more time with my kids. The way I had this post that I put announcing my retirement, and I said I only get to be alive once that I know of, and the way I'd like to spend that life is with them as much as possible.
How have Lucy and Sally reacted to the news?
Pretty good. Well, I told them long before we made the announcement. I said, what would you think if Daddy was not touring in the Sheepdogs? Because they love the band, they love our music, and they've been to some shows, and it's really exciting, right? And I said, well, I wouldn't be doing that, but I would be home a lot more often. I wouldn't be going on the road for 5-6 weeks at a time, and I wouldn't be gone for 5 or 6 months out of the year. And they decided they liked that option better.
I love that. You do have a lot of fans, of course, who have followed you from your early days, 21 years. What would you like to say to them as you start this new chapter?
Oh, I just appreciate everything that they've, I got to live my boyhood dream of playing in a rock and roll band, and there's so many people to thank, musicians we played with, toured with, made albums with, and industry people who've helped us along the way. anybody who voted in the Rolling Stone contest for us, which I know a lot of people in Saskatoon did, like the support was unreal. I just have to thank so many people, and I can't thank them enough.
Will you continue to pursue your other music project, Nutana?
Yeah, so I made a solo album called Nutana, and it was sort of about my having cancer and becoming a father, and put out an album in 2023 that I'm very proud of and happy with how that turned out. And yeah, I have actually a couple songs in the bank right now that are just about ready. Maybe a little bit of mixing, and then they'll be ready to be released. And I'm working on a new album as well. Probably won't get around to recording that until next year because I'm actually going to school right now. The one thing is I retired from the Sheepdogs, but unfortunately I do have to get another job.
Of course.
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Well, I'm trying to finish up a 3-year psych degree that I started like 20 years ago, and I'm also going into education. My dad is a professional musician, and my mom was a teacher. So I figured if I can be a musician for 20 years, and maybe I could be a teacher for 20 years.
Yeah, I love that. One door closes and many more open.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any advice, Sam, for young musicians that are trying to balance a life on the road with a life at home? I think of Saskatoon musicians like Katie Tupper who are out there, making it big. So do you have any advice for them? Yeah,
well, I would say when you're younger, her age and the age I was when we were in the Rolling Stone contest, I would say, go hard and just try to tour as much as you can, try to play with as many musicians as you can, listen to as much music as you can, and play along with it, record as much as you can, write as much as you can, do as much as you can, because you won't always have the energy to do it, and your life will change, and my life changed anyway. And I don't regret working as hard as we did. It's just not where I want to be right now in my life, and I have different priorities, and that's totally fine. And if there's people my age who want to still, play music as a living and tour nonstop, I have no problem with that. That's just not for me anymore.
Yeah, go be the next Elton John if you wish. But.
Exactly, yeah.
Sam, it's been lovely to talk to you today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.